driving our daily lives, from batteries in electric vehicles to the colors in our smartphones to our most advanced military weapons. Rare earth and critical minerals are at the heart of our modern life. In this special report, we look at what China's dominance in the world's rare earth means for us, how that impacts every sector of society from civilian to defense, to what the U.S. can do now to turn the tide. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Rare earths and critical minerals, elements at the bottom of the periodic table, but now they're at the top in terms of importance.
The rare earth minerals is one of the saddest stories in American history. We did not want to be dependent on China for rare earth minerals because they are defense critical, and our best minds, our best and brightest people decided that if we had a war with China, they may not sell us rare earth minerals to make weapons out of. Possible. So we opened up the rare earth mineral mine in the United States, but the processing is still being done in China. So we're actually extracting minerals here and sending them to China for processing.
Defense is one area rare earth minerals are crucial. But before we jump into the nitty-gritty, just what exactly are rare earth minerals and why are they so important?
So rare earths are a number of different elements. If you remember your chemistry class, you had the periodic table of elements and helium, hydrogen, oxygen, etc. So as chemistry has evolved over the last few hundred years, we've added more and more. And so there are a number of them that are actually at the bottom of the periodic table. And they have these very unique characteristics that allow the technologies now that we rely on to actually happen. They can handle heat better. They are more malleable. They perform different properties in terms of being able to do lasers or provide color.
That's Ann Bridges, author of Groundbreaking, America's New Quest for Mineral Independence, and Rare Metal. Making up a set of 17 metallic elements, rare earth is used in everything from batteries to fighter jets, computer hard drives, and hybrid cars. That's in combination with critical minerals, such as copper, lithium, nickel, cobalt, and others. Bridges goes on to note just how many uses they have.
It's a breadth of applications. It's basically any technology that you are using these days has them in them.
Given all the different uses, what's the concern?
The issue really is that while they are scattered around the world, which is what you'll hear, they're everywhere, they are in such tiny proportions. It would be like going to the beach and looking for them among all the sand. It's just very, very tiny. So the way they are gathered up is if you have a commitment to mining. And the U.S. used to do that. We mined iron ore, right? Our steel mills sucked it up. Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago. They are wholly reliant on the steel industry, which started with iron. So we dug up iron, and then a byproduct of that was the rare earths, because now all of a sudden you could capture them and process them in enough quantities to make them valuable.
During the Cold War, the U.S. led the world in rare earth and critical minerals. But since then, we've handed that title away to a foe, and we've even helped them achieve that.
I think the other area that needs to be considered fairly is that as China pulled themselves out of the economic doldrums of the 50s and 60s, they created a dual-use concept for technology, that they would develop technology for commercial use, but then also use it for the military. And I think that sounded very attractive to many politicians. After the Cold War, we thought we'd never, have to worry about it again. So isn't that a great idea? So having China be the supplier of that technology, we weren't at war with them. We didn't think there was any threat. We were trying to, in fact, give them a hand up so that they could join and be a good trading partner and open up their markets. It seemed like a win-win.
But was it a win-win?
That we can't build a future that's made in America if we ourselves are dependent on China for the materials that power the products of today and tomorrow.
Right now, China is the only country capable of producing every known rare earth mineral. It's also the country with the world's largest reserve stockpile of rare earth. Minnesota Representative Pete Stauber says what makes it so much worse is that the U.S. can be critical mineral independent.
Well, I think it's unfortunate that this administration has put their dependency for both critical minerals and rare earth minerals in the hands of the communist country of China and Russia. It's simply unacceptable when we have the critical minerals and a few of the rare earths right here in the United States. This administration just won't let us mine these. We have the best environmental standards, best labor standards, and the opportunity to secure our supply chain dependency and put the destiny of our great nation in the palm of our own hands and not rely on, foreign adversarial nations that don't have our best interests at heart.
So what does that global dependence on China mean?
If today the communist country of China stopped selling us their critical and rare earth minerals, we would be in deep trouble from our national defense to our manufacturing across the globe.
Bridges adds we're already feeling the effects from China.
Life doesn't always work out the way we envision it, and the whole world is now reliant on single source, certainly single locale regions in the world to supply certain things. And even today, I don't know if you saw this, the lithium plants in China have been closed down for a period of time because of the extreme drought. There's no more hydropower or not enough to run these factories.
But looming over the supply chain issues is another threat, the threat of war. Following Russia's war on Ukraine, many have turned their gaze on China to see whether Xi Jinping will pull a Putin and go after Taiwan. While Taiwan is a democratically ruled island that has never been ruled by the Chinese Communist regime, the party sees it as part of its own territory and has threatened to take it back by force if necessary. Following House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, Beijing has ramped up its aggressive rhetoric towards Taiwan, pushing some to fear it could escalate into a kinetic conflict. But if that were to happen, what does that mean in terms of our weapons that rely on rare earth minerals? China economic analyst Antonio Graceffo notes.
This is the problem. If we had a war with China, I said it tongue-in-cheek before, but seriously, if we have a war with China, they're not going to sell us materials that we need to make weapons. So we will have a shortage of these materials. And there's also really scary things like pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical inputs come from China. And if there's a war, they'll just stop. And people that are dependent on certain medicines, might die, initially, until we can figure out how to produce them here. So this is a lot of why a lot of, congressional representatives, a lot of journalists, a lot of people who speak out are saying, please, we need to decouple from China. We need to move our supply chains out of China, diversify supply chains, reshore manufacturing for these critical things like pharmaceuticals and defense critical materials.
That's because these elements are the heart of many critical technologies the Defense Department depends on, ranging from lasers to precision-guided weapons to more. Bridges adds, Beijing already has a history of using rare earth as leverage during times of disputes.
We saw a little bit of this in 2010. Japan and China actually had a conflict over rare earths specifically, and China responded by cutting off Japan's access to the rare earths, which really had an impact on on Japan's manufacturing capabilities. So it is not outside of the scope of the imagination to believe that in a time of warfare, indeed, China would leverage this kind of power they have. And let me just give you some numbers. We're talking about, while only 60% these days of the mining of rare earths happens on Chinese land, they are importing quite a bit from Africa, from South America, a lot of the islands around the Asian Pacific. So they have consolidated a processing function for the industry, and then they purify it, they refine it, and they make it into the metals and the magnets and the alloys that then feed into their manufacturing plant. So when we say, well, they may just cut off rare earths, can't we just dig them up ourselves? It's not just that, it's the entire process to take it from rare earths to the finished product.
Given how important these elements are, how did we get here? That's all for today's China in Focus on YouTube. We're now sharing a shortened version of our program here after being demonetized for more than a year. Here's what to look out for in our second half. Western countries seem to be stuck in a big dilemma when facing the rare earth issue and environmental standards. Is there a way to achieve a balance between the two? And what can we learn from history? The full episode is available on our partner platform, Epoch TV. To sign up, click the link down below. Thanks for watching China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer, and see you tomorrow.
The 2022 NTD 8th International Chinese Vocal Competition will be held from September 29th to October 2nd at the Merkin Hall of Kaufman Music Center in New York City. The competition is honored to have specially invited vocalists with the world-renowned Shen Yun Performing Arts to serve on its panel of judges. The gold award is $10,000. For more information, please visit vocal.ntdtv.com.